Hello, all you lovely people of YouTube and Spotify. I almost forgot that part. I'm your host, Rip. Welcome to another episode of Rip's Talk Show. Now, you might be saying, Rip, it's been, well, a year since we've last spoken. And, well, technically, you're wrong because it's only been like a month and that joke isn't funny. But yeah, it's been about a month and, do I have a reason? Yes. I forgot. I forgot to upload. I forgot to record. I forgot to do all these things that are needed for content creation. Hell, I think I'm recording this way too late into the night to where I can't even schedule the upload at the right time on Spotify. Isn't that tragic? Which means when I wake up tomorrow, I'll just have to manually upload. And to that I say, okay. You know? But, hello. There has been so much that has happened since we've last discussed. I am currently playing Destiny 2 in the background if you are a visual listener. As for you audio listeners, you just get to hear my nice, soothing voice. YouTube has visuals. Spotify, you only get audio. With that being said, let's talk about a lot of things that have happened. You know what's happened in the past month or so? Well, Renegades, it came out. I played all of it. In fact, I've played so much that, well, let me explain some of the things I have. I have the Renegades title. I have the Invasion title for doing invasions in Renegades. I don't have the Equilibrium title. However, I do have every single crystal for the lightsaber that you could earn except for Indigo. And I have the exotic from the dungeon, Heirloom. It's Chewbacca's bowcaster. I could go I can go on. However, this is the start of the year. It's not, however it is. This is the first thing I'm uploading this year, which means we have to do a update on the HP Banana Crew now. I didn't make this update little list last time. So, in case you're unaware, the HP Banana Crew is a list of characters made by Denmark and I. That it's basically a story that I will eventually write, where it is a bunch of characters from different franchises, medias, and all that sorts of stuff. And they're on a team together to protect and save this new universe they find themselves in. And the cosmic being that made this universe put this team together, and they all live on a giant ship that has a bunch of different technologies from all their different, things. That being said, well, let's start with year one of the HP Banana Crew, just to get you situated. We have year one, which is Marcus, Dom, Cole, and Baird from Gears of War. Then we have the Doctor, specifically the 10th Regeneration, which is David Tennant. And I know it's technically not the 10th Doctor anymore, but anyway, I'm just going to say the 10th Doctor because that's like just easy to say for anyone who's not a Doctor Who fan. Doctor Who is confusing. Anyway, after the Doctor, May from Nine in the Woods, and then Kate Six from Destiny, and then Captain Rex from Star Wars, Sergeant Johnson from Halo, and then Claptrap from Borderlands. And that was year one. Year two, we get Benjamin Carmine, Anthony Carmine, and Lizzie Carmine from Gears of War. Saint 14 from Destiny. Nico from One Shot. Buck from Halo. Deadpool from Marvel. And then we get an Engineer, Pyro, and Demo Man from Team Fortress 2. And later in the year, we get Clayton Carmine from Gears of War. And then we get Kix from Star Wars. And that's year two of the HP Banana Crew. Year 3 of the HB Banana Crew, we get Sarge, Griff, Simmons, Donut, Lopez, Church, Tucker, Caboose, Carolina, Washington, and Doc from Red vs. Blue, and Drifter from Destiny. That is, what are we on? Year 3 of the HP Banana Crew. Year 4 of the HP Banana Crew, we get Isaac Clarke, Master Chief, Isaac Clarke from Destiny, Master Chief and Arbiter from Halo, Prophetbot from One Shot, Fives and Echo from Star Wars, Sage Velis, My Warlock, Penelope 17, Denmark's Warlock, and Lord Shax from Destiny. And then Wolverine from Marvel, Micah 10 and Mizrax from Destiny, Ohio from Red vs. Blue, Sina Terrasis, My Mandalorian, and Alicia Terrasis, Denmark's Mandalorian, and Failsafe. And that is year 4. Year 5, which is last year, was our biggest addition. It is literally the biggest addition that we've had to the HP Banana Crew. And now I'm going to tell you everyone that we've added since Failsafe. We have added Eris Morn from Destiny, Linda, Spartan 2 from Halo, Boss and Heavy from Star Wars, Dr. Emily Gray from Red vs. Blue, Osiris, Elsie Bray, and Keitel from Destiny, Kakina Griff from Red vs. Blue, Serena, My Drifter from Warframe. If you're curious, I use Yoreli Prime for Warframe. And Owie from Warframe, Dizzy Wallen from Gears of War, Will-043 from Halo, Amelia Velis, My Hunter. I got some lore. They're married. Anyway. Rosalind Finch, a.k.a. Skeksis, which is Denmark's D2 Hunter. She's with the House of Light. That's why she has an Elixir name. Rusty from Armored Core 6. I've never played Armored Core. Eleanor Nightingale, Letty Garcia, Amir Beckett, and Arthur Nightingale, and Quincy Isaacs from Warframe. You could probably tell what my favorite expansion or favorite campaign was. Hunter, Tech, Wrecker, and Omega, and Crosshair from Star Wars. Cortana from Halo. Lodi from Destiny. Gangle and Zulwul from the Amazing Digital Circus. Samus from Metroid. And the next 8 are clones of Denmark Sinai. Spirit, which is my clone. Spark, my clone. Guilt, my clone. Red, Denmark's. Famine, Denmark's. Warhead, Denmark's. Hacksaw, Denmark. Boltok, mine. And then we have Revan, Star Wars. Ido, Destiny. Sev, Fixer, and Scorch, Star Wars. And as for the first 4 that were added this year, we already have 4 from this year. We have Han Solo, Chewbacca, R2-D2, and then C-3PO from Star Wars. And that means if you've kept count for that entire ramble, we are currently at 98 members. That means if you've been keeping score, that when I eventually sit down and write with all of these characters, I am having to sit down and write with 98 characters. That tapping you hear is me tapping my desk. Anyway, I am going to have to write with 98 characters. And you know, I was saying, that's a lot of characters. I think I'm going to workshop some stories where it's you get the first 10, then you get what happens when the next 10 are added, then the next 2, then the next 12, and then the next 1, and then yada yada yada. Because I said they were all added that year. They weren't all added at the same time. The only time we had the biggest addition all at once to this date is when we added the Reds and Blues and also Drifter. There's not been a bigger addition to the HP Banana Crew than that. And you might be listening and you might be saying, that's a lot of special interest. You would be correct. Now, you might be also saying, were there any additions that were made by you versus made by Denmark, where it's like you don't really know much about it, but the other um, is a big fan of it, so that's why that character or person is in the crew. Yes. Oh, absolutely yes. I don't know anything about Armor Core. However, that's Denmark's edition. Because she's a very big fan of Rusty. Same with Samus. I know nothing of the Metroid games. I've never played a Metroid game. I literally know nothing. However, Denmark's a big fan of Samus. She's cool. Um, Gangle and Zubul. Denmark has never watched The Amazing Digital Circus. I have. I'm a fan of it, and I guess you could say there's like a part of my brain that is obsessed with the show. Um, Very strange and peculiar part of my brain, but you gotta love that part. That part's great. Um, anyway, we got yeah no there's a lot of characters like that where it's like yes so and so does not have any personal attachment to this one character. However, the other person has so much attachment to that character. Um, like I said, I have no attachment to Rusty. I've never played an Armored Core game. I don't even know if I will. Maybe I will. I don't know. I'm sure I can probably be convinced. Um, but it's like, you know, they're cool. I'm a big fan of it. It's like, as you may know, I do not do well with character deaths. Like when characters die in a piece of media, I do not handle it well. I don't know what it is. I just don't handle death well when it comes to things. Also, I think it takes a lot for someone to handle that kind of subject well. Um, but like, it's a way to be like, hey, these characters, they're all together, they're having a good time, they're having adventures, doing silly little things together. And sometimes there's going to be like some tragic, sad things that happened in it because like this is a realm with everything in it. Now, I should say everything, quote unquote. There were some things that I decided to extract from the universe that will just not be a part of this universe, despite them having a major place in their original universes. For example, the Flood, just not there. The Necromorphs, just not there. The Infested from Warframe, just not there. Like, there are things that are just not there. And it's because I think the universe would be royally fucked with those things there. And then you might be saying, well, that adds on to the pizzazz. I don't care. I'm the one writing this. And I'm writing it to how I see. Because if you give the Empire paracausal energy, say they somehow capture a Guardian, and like imagine if they like power a Death Star through a Guardian, so not only is that gonna blow up a planet, they can start to harness that power. They can start to do things with it. It's not good. Now is it? But like, there's a lot of stuff I want to write with the HP Banana Crew. There's a lot of things I would like to write with the HP Banana Crew. That's why I'm bringing this up right now. That I want to write these things with the crew. That was supposed to be you finishing the sentence out loud. Now you see, you get brownie points if you did, and if you didn't, that's okay. You'll just lose a good noodle star. Anyway, I realized I was leaning forward. You don't want to do that. That's how you fuck up your spine. Mine's already fucked. I'm not trying to mess it up even more. But yeah, with that being said, I have a lot to talk about. Like, what are the futures with the channel? I want to record more. I want to go back to some of the games that I've already played and replay them. One of them that I've been considering is Red Dead 2. Now, that one's a big if on me. Like, I'm like, do I even do that? Uh, my reasoning as for why I'm not so certain on that is because that is a huge commitment. And now, I'm not really happy with my original playthrough because I recorded it when I was a teenager, and I was not funny. Now, granted, it could be said that I'm not funny now. However, I would be bludgeoned to death with, like, I don't know, some. If I were to go, yeah, I'm unfunny, I'm actually quite evil and horrible and some other things, I would not be bludgeoned to death. I would just be told, hey, you're not. Also, you're an idiot for saying that. That's what would be said to me. It's not, hey, come here, I'm going to bludgeon you to death with a hammer or a metal pipe. Your death will be filled with the metal pipe sound effect. But anyway, I've been wanting to redo a lot of those older videos because I just don't think I was funny. I really don't think I was that funny back then. And it's not even like about the funny. I think the way I try to do humor would take away from certain scenes. I'm a lot older. To be fair, I kind of am. This was 2019, and we're in 2026. This was 7 years ago. So yeah, I guess I do have like a reason to redo it. Because like, how old was I? I turned 17 in 2019, and I definitely didn't start recording it in November. Or did I? I don't know. No, I got the game for my birthday. So yeah, I definitely was 17 when I started recording it. But like, point is, I was just 17 and I wasn't really funny and I didn't really have a grasp on things and like timing and whatnot. But like, I feel like I do now. And I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm the master of the universe and I know everything. I don't. However, I think that I have a time where I know when and when I shouldn't speak when it comes to a story. Like if I'm even like it's been a while since I played Red Dead. It's been a long, long time since I played Red Dead, and I feel like I could, if I were to go to it with new eyes, it would be nice and refreshing. One that I definitely want to do is Night in the Woods. But I also want to go and do certain games like Dead Space 3. I haven't done that. Well, I did like the first mission. I did. However, the person I recorded that with does not want to play that again. And I really wanted to do it with a second person and just do the entire series in multiplayer because that was a unique experience with the game. That it was the only Dead Space game that was multiplayer in the campaign. But I don't think that is feasibly possible to do. I don't think that is a feasible thing that I can achieve. So I do think I might just bite the bullet and play it again by myself, or just replay that first mission, and then play through the whole thing. Because here's the thing. I know I played Dead Space 3 as, 13 years ago, and I don't really know anything that happens. Besides, that opening mission. I know the opening mission is in snow. I know Isaac will at some point get a snowsuit. Why? I assume they go to the planet at the beginning of the prologue. And you know what? That's it! Straight up. That's all I know. And because of that, I think I think I could technically consider it a blind playthrough, especially given the fact that, like I said, I don't know anything that happens in the game. So, it's a very unique opportunity, I guess you could say. Where of course I played it as a kid, but I don't remember a single thing. So this would be a technical blind playthrough. It's the experience that people always want with their favorite games, is to experience that wonder and mystery once again. And like Dead Space 3 is definitely a game I want to touch upon this year. Maybe Halo 5. I'm not too certain about that one because I have deep rooted trauma when it comes to Halo 5. Um, and to that, people will say, that's stupid. And to that, I say, yeah, maybe. I don't care. Uh, it's my brain. It's how it works. Point is, it's not like, oh, I played the game and it made me cry. No, it's just memories, associations. You make associations with things sometimes in your brain. Your brain makes associations, whether that be a positive association or a negative association. There's a person that I hold near and dear to my heart that I associate with the beginning of Act 3 of Gears of War 2. Why? That's just for me and them, me and her to know, and for you to never find out. There's a person where I associate Valorant with. Have I ever played Valorant? No. But when I look at Valorant, I think of that person. There's a person where every time I look at the helm of Same 14, I think of them. I don't play on a Titan, but anytime I look at the helm of Same 14, I think of them. There's a person where anytime I think of I see the color red, or even watch one of my childhood favorite shows, Clone Wars, I think about them because of some wonderful memories. Because of some wonderful memories associated with that person. Um, hell, I associate uh this is like a weird way to elaborate this. I associate a red Mark 6 with a person. Um, I don't personally wear the color red, but anytime I see a red Mark, anytime I see a red Mark 6, I think of that person. Now that one, you may be able to guess if you're a fan of this channel. You may be able to guess who I am specifically referencing with that one. Point is, I have a lot of associations. I don't know. I'm pretty sure my mic is cutting out. Um, I have a lot of associations in my brain with a lot of things, both positive, both negative. Like, I have a negative association with Halo 5. Halo 5. You know? Hang on. I gotta make sure I'm actually cutting in and out. Okay, no, my mic monitoring is just messing up. Oh, exfil. In the background, I'm playing Lawless Frontier. Anyway, sorry about that. Point is, there are a lot of things I want to record for the wonderful YouTube audience that I'm sure that they would like to see. Why is that? Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I don't make these things up. I just do things because I'm here. But however, what I will say is all of this, it's great. It's wonderful even. And I'm very, very happy about it. Like, I love doing this stuff. I love doing all this content. And I want to make more. I want this year to be a year where I get back into the swing of things. Because I think in 2024, at least from January to September, I think I was doing really well with content. More like January to August, if I'm going to be real. Point is, I do think I was doing really well with content. And I would like to provide all of you with that again. Because I like doing it. It's a passion of mine. And I miss it. I missed it very dearly. You know? It means a lot to me. Doing this, means a lot to me. I love content creation. And I don't know, I think it's special. If you ever or if you're bored and you want to, I guess, build up a speaking voice confidence, weird way to do it, but if you just want to do something silly, it's a fun way to save memories. Because I do this because it's like, oh, it's like a stream. I stream it, and then I go upload it to YouTube, and then I can go and look back and go, oh, I've said a funny joke here. Oh, this is what it was like when I first reacted to this. Like, if I go back and watch my Dead Space 1 playthrough, and it's like, wow, that's how I reacted to that scene. Because that was my first time playing that game. I go back and watch my Gears 5 playthrough. That was my first time playing that game. For all my other Gears of War playthroughs, that was not my first time. I played all of those games at launch except for 1 and 2. But for 3, Judgment, Ultimate, 4, and those games, I played them at launch before I was even doing content. Now, I started doing content before Gears of War 4 came out. However, I didn't do content like that because I didn't know how to. Even when Gears of War 4 came out and I was playing it, I didn't know how to do that. I just knew how to make game clips. That was it. I didn't know that I could stream and download my VODs until I think 2018. And even then, I didn't know how to do it myself. I had Kevin do it for me until I think the beginning of 2019, actually. Because as soon as I figured out how to do it, I was on a fucking crazy schedule because during the summer, I did 3 recordings a day. And I actually did more than that. I would do a bunch of recordings a day. But I would put out 2 or 3 of those videos each day. So it's like I think it was like you get Gears of Night in the Woods today, you get Red Dead and Gears the next day. You get Night in the Woods and Red Dead the next day, and then you get Gears and Night in the Woods the day after that, and then the cycle continues. But then at some point, I just stopped. I think I dropped Night in the Woods from that for a bit, and just did Red Dead and Gears. But the Gears game kept changing because I kept beating them. However, I would say, don't go back and watch those videos. I was even younger back then. I replayed Gears of War Ultimate Edition, and I replayed Gears of War 2 for newer videos. So that way it's like, if you want to watch my playthroughs, those are the ones to watch. If you want to watch me play those games, those are the ones to watch. However, this does mean that you can go back and see, I guess, me get better. Because I still play those games a lot. I've been playing them, like, I guess you could say, a good chunk of my life I've been playing Gears of War games. I was not paying attention to the game there. I got distracted with playing Gears, or talking about Gears of War. It's like, I love Gears of War. I love these games, and this whole thing was supposed to be me talking about my 2025. Let me tell you, one of, if not the worst years of my life. It's not the worst, but it was not a good one. Anyway, I can explain why, but I do want to say, it's a bit funny. I did do the ADHD stereotype there of the 1 billion side tangents before getting back to the original point. It's and the original point is 2025. How was it? I met some amazing people during the year of 2025. People that I feel like my life is forever changed because of that person or those people being in my life. I lost a cat in that year, which was the first time in my life I had ever had a cat die. Like, I've had dogs pass away in my life. In fact, last year that also happened. I had a dog that has been in videos before. She passed away in October. I lost 2 pets. I lost a lot of things. I gotta be honest, it was a really hard year for me mentally. And, like, this isn't me being like, oh, pity party me. I don't think I deserve one. I'm explaining how my year went. It's like, my mental health was not at an all-time low. It was certainly not the lowest it's ever been. However, it was, suffice to say, extremely low. Lower than is okay. And did I get help for it? No. I am, I guess, just vibing it out until I can. Which may not be the smartest idea. However, that's okay. I don't think there was anyone I particularly dropped from my life. I think when it comes to that aspect, it was pretty good. Can't say the same about the previous year. But it was really rough on me. It was a year where my anxiety had been the worst that it's ever been in my life. And I'm not even saying that like to be, oh, I'm like just hyping it up. I legitimately feel that in my heart that it was probably the worst that my anxiety has ever been. And I wish that was an exaggeration. I wish I could be like, guys, I'm just hyping it up for YouTube and Spotify and Twitch because I'm streaming this on Twitch. But no, that was legitimately the worst my anxiety has ever been. And you know what? There's not much I can do about that because it's said and it's done. And you know what? That is okay because I'm here. I'm still standing, and I still get to piss people off. Who am I pissing off? I don't know. Probably you. No, I don't. I'm probably not pissing anyone off. But like, I'm still here. I'm still vibing. I'm still. I'm happy about things, and I like living. Um, I just like I found out a lot about myself. Something where it's like you found out when you find out about yourself, you're like it kind of it messes with you. It messes with you really bad when you find it out. But like when you find it out, you're also like, well, thank God I found that out because like it makes things in my life make so much more sense. Now, is that something I will disclose on video? No. Because one, I don't have a proper diagnosis yet, and I want to get a diagnosis. And in fact, I plan to, eventually, when I can see a doctor, uh, and a psychiatrist. But like right now, that's just not an option. So I'm not going to do that because I can't. Kind of how those things kind of work, where it's you can't do it. So like, you know, I can't do that, and I'm not going to disclose what it is, even when I eventually get that diagnosis, because I don't like sharing my personal life. Like I will share aspects that I have shared right now because I feel like it is okay to be vulnerable about that. However, like I said, I will not disclose the other things that I've. I will not disclose the thing that I am saying. All that to say is secret. But the whole like actual point of it is I've found out more about myself than I knew, and it was scary. It was terrifying. It fucked with me heavily. However, it also made things make a lot more sense about like what about like how my brain ticks. Um, and if you're asking if it's the ADHD thing, no, I've been diagnosed with that since in first grade, since I was like 6 or 7. Fuck me, I that was not one of those jokes. I swear to God, that was not one of the that was not me making one of those jokes. You can't catch me doing one of those jokes. I would rather die before making one of those jokes. That was just me saying I was either the age of 7 or I was the age of 6. I don't know which one I was, but I was one of them. Anyway. um yeah, no, it was a really weird and complicated and terrible year. But also some really great things happened. I met 8 people that I talk to about every day. That's a lot of people to talk to every day. But you know they're great. And I was introduced to them by 2 people that I met in the year prior. And all of them are great. I'm sure at least one of them are listening right now. And to you, I say hello. Sorry about that, people. A random child walked into my room. I do not know who that child is. That is a lie. That is my youngest sibling. Apparently he won a Marvel Rivals match. That's what I wanted to talk about. I played Marvel Rivals. I've been playing Marvel Rivals. And now you might be saying, how can you do that? You don't have an Xbox that can play it. And you're right. I've been playing it on someone else's Xbox that can play it. And holy, it's fun. Now you might be saying, what do I play? So, before this update, the newest update, the Museum one, I would play Wolverine as my DPS. I didn't really play tank. However, I wanted to try out the Thing. And my support, I wanted to try out Invisible Woman. I didn't know anything about her, about how she played. I just like the character. And I saw all the memes about how Jeff the Landshark's a bastard, and I didn't want to be a bastard. However, after this update, you might be saying, what do I do? Well, for my DPS, I'd still like to say it's Wolverine. Legitimately. I really like to play Wolverine as a DPS. However, my tank and support have changed. My tank is Deadpool, and my support is Deadpool. I've been playing so much Deadpool. I have like 4.5 hours on tank, and I have an hour and a half of support. And that was like from 3 days ago, and I've played a lot more since then. I think it's like 5.5 hours now for tank, and yada yada. Probably a lot more for support now. Like a lot more. I've been playing 18v18 because that's just really fun. And so, yeah. But yeah. Marvel Rivals, it's been fun. 2025, it sucked, but great things happened. But with all of that being said, I do think that might be all we have time for on this lovely, lovely episode. It is the first of 2026. And you know what that means? We'll call this a 2025 retrospective, which means basically the first, if you're new here, the first episode of the year. The first episode of the year will be me talking about the previous year while also telling you the HB Banana Crew editions. Why? Because that's how we do things around here. And I just like my silly little goobers. So, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching this episode. It's been a pleasure talking to all of you. It's been great seeing all of you again. And I must say farewell. I do not know when you are listening to this, so I will say good morning, good afternoon, or good night. I do not know what time you're listening to this, but I will say farewell to all of you listening and watching. Goodbye, everyone.